The next question will be for Mr. Love. The NDP have been critical of money spent on trade missions by this current government, suggesting that these expenditures are a poor use of public resources with little benefit. Mr. Love, given the importance of building strong and direct relationships with Saskatchewan's trading partners and customers, how would the NDP approach fostering these trade relationships differently?
Well, let me start by saying very clearly that we recognize in the Saskatchewan NDP and our leader, Carla Beck, the importance of trade in our province. We're proud of the things that we produce, the things that we grow, the things that we mine, and we know that trade and export is vital to our province, to our economy, to the health of our people. But we also know that our approach will be different than my opponents here tonight, and that we will ensure that taxpayer dollars are spent wisely. We're proposing to find $3 million in savings in the trade offices. But let me be very clear, that will not be done by closing trade offices. We'll look to find savings by co-locating offices in embassies and other locations, by working together in a more collaborative way to save taxpayers money and to deliver on the outcomes that taxpayers expect and deserve. What we're not going to do is spend $1 million on a pavilion in Dubai at a climate change conference, or thousands of dollars to chauffeur our MLAs around cities like Paris in a private Mercedes-Benz. Saskatchewan people work hard for their money. They expect that their dollars are spent wisely. That is exactly what the Saskatchewan NDP will deliver on.
Thank you. Mr. Harrison, you now have 1 minute to rebut Mr. Love's response.
Yeah, and obviously this is an area pretty near and dear to my heart as trade minister, and having been minister responsible for setting up these offices internationally, which have done so much to advance our interests here in Saskatchewan. Important to remember, when the NDP were in government, there were about $16 billion of exports that went from Saskatchewan. The last 2 years, there have been over $100 billion, $50 billion a year of exports on an entire GDP of about $77 billion. We export nearly 70% of everything we produce. If we are not out there as a province working hard with our companies to sell our commodities, I can guarantee you Justin Trudeau and Jagmeet Singh will not be doing that either. And the NDP seem content to rely on Trudeau and saying to somehow take account of Saskatchewan's interests. They won't. They absolutely will not. We need to be out there. That's why we set up the international offices. And we were profoundly criticized by the NDP when we set up these international offices. So it's remarkable. It's the first time I've heard that they actually are going to keep them open, because they were campaigning on closing them up until today.
Mr. Love, you now have 30 seconds to provide a final response.
Well, it sounds like we're going to have to do some fact checking of my friend Jeremy tonight. He knows that we've never campaigned on closing trade offices. We've campaigned on spending taxpayer dollars wisely. That includes when we go abroad or send our officials abroad to tell the story of Saskatchewan. We'll do that to make sure that there's good returns for Saskatchewan. We'll be transparent and accountable for how those dollars are spent, something that his government has failed to do. We want to make sure that we're telling Saskatchewan's story, or spending taxpayer dollars wisely.
The next question is for Mr. Harrison. You'll notice a bit of a theme in terms of homegrown Saskatchewan businesses and the economic opportunity. Right. Saskatchewan's known for the 3 pillars of its economy, the 3 Fs, food, fuel, and fertilizer. The Saskatoon Chamber has promoted adding a 4th F, founders. Saskatchewan stands alone on the prairies without a government-led fund of funds to promote private investment in small firms valued at $4 million or less. Mr. Harrison, what aspect of the Saskatchewan Party platform encourages homegrown entrepreneurs and encourages them to keep their business here and grow it in Saskatchewan as opposed to leaving for Alberta and Manitoba?
Yeah, well, I think we've already touched on the small and medium-sized enterprise investment tax credit that we're going to be moving forward with. But one of the areas where I have been really, really proud of work that has been done at Innovation Saskatchewan, working with our tech sector, with respect to growth in that particular space. I think this is going to be an area where we see not just incredible growth right now, and we've seen over 100% increase in the number of folks employed in the tech sector over the course of just the last number of years. And we did an event with Sask Tech on that just before the election campaign, something that we really can be very proud of. We have a very clear growth plan goal to increase the size of that tech sector by 3 times. Just in this budget, we increased the technology startup incentive by double. We increased the cap on STSI. And those are conversations that are not just going to continue, but have really manifested themselves in very real things. CoLabs was set up as an example as minister when we worked with the sector on what could be possible to grow the sector in that regard. But we are very, very proud of our companies here in Saskatchewan, and very, very proud to work with our companies here in the province, but around the world as well. And I think this kind of goes a bit to the last question. We are not going to have our companies, our commodities, our goods promoted by Trudeau and Singh around the world. We're just not. If we are not out there doing it, it's not going to happen. And the NDP have been, I just find this remarkable because I just first heard of this from Matt today. We have been harshly criticized by the NDP for having an international presence of any kind. When we have been around the world, every single one of the missions that we have undertaken has been criticized by the NDP. So to now claim that they are somehow in favor of exporting energy or exporting our commodities from this province, whether it be ag or potash or any of the others, uranium, it's just not the case. They have never supported one of these missions. They now think it's popular, so they're trying to now.
Mr. Love, 1 minute for rebuttal.
What we've been critical of is Saskatchewan MLAs being toured around Paris in a private Mercedes-Benz limousine and spending $1 million to go to a climate change conference. Every time that Jeremy brings up Justin and Jagmeet, he's trying to trigger the viewers tonight to be angry about the situation in Saskatchewan. But I'll remind him that it's been the Sask Party that's been in government for 17 years. Now, your question is a good one, and it talks about people leaving to pursue their dreams in Alberta and Manitoba. For every quarter of every year for the last 6 years, more people have left Saskatchewan than have moved here from other provinces. That's every quarter of every year for 6 years in a row. We have the highest rates of out-migration west of the Maritimes, and that is the Sask Party legacy. Folks are not moving to Saskatchewan, and those that do aren't staying. We need to reverse that trend so folks see a future here in their chosen industry, whether that's the tech sector, innovation, or starting a business. We need to have the climate to keep them here.
And Mr. Harrison, 30 seconds for a final response.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, and the NDP try and cherry pick data, the reality is that this province has grown remarkably. There have been 250,000 newcomers who have come to Saskatchewan over the course of the last 17 years. During the 16 years of the NDP government, they actually lost people. When I graduated from high school in 1996, the standard gift that was given to graduating students was luggage, because you had to leave Saskatchewan to actually build your future. And that is not the case. And frankly, that's something I'm probably as proud of or more proud of than anything else that has been accomplished over the last 17 years, so that our young people have a wonderful opportunity to make their life here, to build their careers here, and to be successful right here in Saskatchewan. That was never the case under the NDP.